Welcome to Morning Infusion with Dr. V. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to fail to chase your dreams? Well, my name is Dr. Viola Pierce. I am the owner and the CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer and the facilitators of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to teach nurses to leverage the knowledge that they already know, working from their computers around the world, making money and owning their own time. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals, to show up exceptional on a daily basis. Know that one of the goals of Morning Infusion with Dr. V is to expose you to leaders that have overcome so that you know that the possibilities are endless. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment if you were ever told that you would not succeed. And remember to click the calendar link above if you want to create another stream of income. Enroll in our 12-week course, VP Nursing Business Academy. Our special guest today is Brandy Edwards. Brandy Edwards is an attorney and empowerment speaker in Dallas, Texas. She is the founder of the Selflove Challenge and emphasizes the life transformation that is possible when change is embraced with courage and confidence. Brandy teaches you how to get unstuck and follow your happiness so that you create a life you love. Certified to teach mindfulness and yoga, Brandy is a structured, free spirit and embraces self-love and sobriety as a lifestyle. I love it. I love it. Thank you for joining us, Brandy. You are amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. I am just so grateful that we connected on Clubhouse, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Yes, we did have a good time in that room for sure. So now our goal is to feature healthcare professionals as a general role. However, every now and then I meet someone that is so dynamic that I know that they would be amazing for the audience. You're one of those people. So then when we first talked, you said that when you were young, you had a dream. What was your dream?
My dream was really to pursue not necessarily a career, because I always knew that I wanted to go to law school and be an attorney, but I was incredibly passionate about dance. I didn't grow up with a lot of money, so I didn't have dance lessons growing up, but I would do the free week that the cheerleaders or the dance team would do at each school that I went to. But in high school, I was on my drill team for 4 years. It was just such an amazing experience. And so my dream really was to go to college, be on a competitive dance team, and then I thought I would love to go out to LA at some point, be a backup dancer, be on stage and perform with big artists, and maybe even be an NFL or NBA dancer or cheerleader.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I've never thought I would be a, a dancer for sure. For sure. I think my mom, because of the fact that she was, we were Kojic, right? Church of God in Christ. Like she was like, you ain't dancing at all. And so I wish that she would have let me dance. But anyway,
Right.
what is
Dance is great.
it is. It's like being a free spirit, as you said. So what are some of
Exactly.
the actionable steps that you were going on to ensure that your goals were met? Like what were some of the things that you did?
Well, one of the things that I did with respect to being interested in being a backup dancer, me and one of my girlfriends, when we were 16 years old, we convinced both of our parents to let us drive several states over and go to this workshop that an LA choreographer was putting on. And it was so much fun. And we got to do this showcase at the end, and there was different people in the audience that could potentially help with various careers and things like that. And I fundraised for it because I was 16, and it was just so much fun. And then, just doing my drill team in high school, going to different workshops when I could to try and learn different things, and ultimately go try out for a college dance team.
I love it. I love it. That is super cool for sure, for sure. So now, what happened that made you go a different route and not pursue that dream?
So I believed in myself enough to go to the auditions, and I knew that I was going to be up against obstacles because I didn't have the professional training that so many people typically have when you are auditioning for a college dance team. However, I knew that once I had an opportunity to practice routines, go home, I could really, you know, come through with the showmanship and the performance aspect. I loved dancing and having an audience. And so while I knew I was up against obstacles, I still showed up to tryouts. I still believed in myself enough to try. However, once I got into that room, I really just started comparing myself to every single girl in that room and was focusing on their strengths, so much so that I started focusing on my weaknesses and I started doubting myself. And then that anxiety just started to really take over, where I thought, I'm not good enough. Why am I here? I shouldn't even be trying. And then when we had an opportunity to break before we came back for tryouts, I went outside and tried to run through everything, but I was really just struggling to remember the choreography because I was just nervous and had a variety of emotions. And that day, I did something where I just really disappointed myself and I left. I didn't try. I didn't go back in there to see what could have been, because at that point I had never experienced failure. I'd never really tried at something and not been good enough. And I didn't want to try and be told that I wasn't good enough. And so I thought, I'll just control the situation and I'm going to leave because I just don't want to embarrass myself or go back to school and tell people that I tried and I didn't make it, that I wasn't good enough. And that day when I made that decision, I allowed a dream to die. And I hold on to that moment and allow it to fuel me now, because it's so much better to try and to know and to gain experience and, you know, shift our perspective on failure and see it as feedback, because I never danced after that. And I always wonder what could have been.
I love it. You know, that comparison is the thief of all joy, right? And we do it all the time. You know, we see people who are on social media sites and we compare ourselves to them, right? And we are just really, really, I have in the past struggled with that. But, every day I show up, right? But I don't show up perfect. Like yesterday, I showed up and, I was struggling, because I had a friend that passed away, right? And it was something that I didn't, you know, that you it's that vulnerability that we don't see, right? And
Right.
you're right. You let that dream die at that moment, but I think that you bounced back. I think that you were okay.
I did bounce back.
I think that you're fine, but yeah, it is such the truth whenever, and we have to realize that, because a lot of times what happens is we try to be like the Joneses, right? We try to look like, be in the big house, own the car, the nice car, and those things of that nature. Or, like you said, you look at people who you think are doing better than you are, and the reality is that they have their own struggles, and you realize that. And kudos to you for doing that. So now, what would you tell your younger self now, looking back?
Looking back, I would tell my younger self that it is so much better to try and just put yourself out there and detach from the outcome. Take action towards things that you desire, that you dream about, towards your goals. Take action despite your fears. And I would tell myself that it's always better to try, and instead of wondering what if, because the pain of regret is hard when you wonder what could have been. And so I really apply that lesson, that life experience, and what it taught me years later, once I was able to process it and overcome that, and not allow that to hold me back, that disappointment. I now allow that to fuel me, because I hold on to that what if moment, and I always know what that regret feels like, and I don't want to experience that again. So I always just try to put myself out there. I build myself up. Confidence is a choice, and when we start comparing ourselves to other people, it's never going to allow us to really step into our potential or our purpose. And that's what I would say to my younger self. Just try, because it's better to know than to wonder what if.
I love the fact that you said detach from the outcome, right? Because the reality is that, we don't know what the outcome is. And the more that you try, the more that you get up. Because let me tell you something. One thing about you is that you're strong. Like whenever I talk to you, I just hear it. I hear the strength in your voice. I hear and I know that didn't come from, like you just didn't wake up one day and have that, right? Because we as women a lot of times don't have that, right? But you have built that, right? I feel like you have built that in order to be the person that you are today. And so I'm super excited that, we are your younger self. I mean, I hate the fact that you're not dancing behind some big star, but then you wouldn't be on my show and we wouldn't know each other. So it's okay.
And in thinking about it, I know everything happens for a reason. And I use that story and that vulnerability in some of my speaking engagements to inspire other people. And I kind of had this moment when I was sharing the story with you today, is I made a comment how I wanted to be on stage and be a backup dancer on stage. And now I am the main attraction on the stages.
You better
And
say
it's just
it.
kind of interesting to think about that in kind of where I am today with in the speaking space, but just using that moment so that I always use it to fuel me instead of holding me back.
It's very interesting that you said when you said backup dancer, I was thinking the very same thing that you were. I was thinking, no, not backup. You want to be the main attraction, right?
Exactly, exactly. And that's where it's so important that we choose ourselves. There's so many people that tell you what you should do or shouldn't do, or who you should be or shouldn't be, but deep down, you know. And that's where I tell people, you have these goals, these dreams, and these desires for a reason, and it's important that you take action towards them. However, not all goals are meant to be achieved. Some goals are stepping stones that once you take action, you can see whether you like it, whether you're good at it, or whether you could do without it. And it's a stepping stone to lead you somewhere else. But you never would have discovered it but for that experience or that attempt to try or that initial goal.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, you are the founder of the Self-Love Challenge. Tell us about this movement that you have created.
So, the Self-Love Challenge is my platform that I use to motivate, empower, and challenge people, just like your listeners, to learn how to love themselves while they work on themselves. And that essentially means that you make a choice to love yourself without conditions in the moment, not waiting to love yourself until you achieve something outside of yourself, whether it's a goal or when you feel like you get to a certain space or stage in life. Learning to love yourself while you work on yourself. And so I use that to do my motivational speaking. Prior to COVID, I hosted an incredible women's retreat. I did a lot of workshops and events in Dallas and also traveled to a few different places with that. But it's really just my platform to treat self-love as a lifestyle. It's more than body positivity and being able to accept our body, and it's more than our mindset and focusing on positive affirmations, but it's really everything that we choose to do and that we choose not to do. So being strong and courageous and taking action despite your fears and shifting your perspective on failure, using your voice, not comparing yourself to other people, knowing that you have something amazing to share with the world and that your voice and your perspective matters, and really just using it to build people up, to boost their confidence and help them really show up as the most confident, courageous version of themselves.
I love it. Because of what happens a lot of times is that we don't love ourselves in that interim, right? We don't love ourselves from that beginning stage, and we criticize ourselves and we say things to ourselves that we wouldn't let other people say to us, right?
Right.
I mean, and the reality is that your self talk is the most important talk, right?
Yes.
You don't want to. I mean, the reality is that you can tell me all day long that I am pretty and that I'm beautiful and that I matter and that I'm the most. But until I believe that within myself, then I'm not going to be able to, I'm not, because I attract who I am, right? I
Right.
attract who, the people that are around me. And I love that you are telling them to love themselves in the interim, while they work on themselves. Because I'm gonna tell you, the working on yourself it's a full-time job.
It
Happens all
is. It is. And the biggest piece of advice I can give for all of your listeners is to understand that self-love is a choice, confidence is a choice. All of those things are choices. And if you can choose to have negative thoughts about yourself, you can also choose to have positive thoughts about yourself. Now, it's easier to have those negative thoughts, and it's challenging to sometimes have those more positive, uplifting thoughts about yourself. but it's all a choice. So if you can choose one, you can also choose the other, and it takes time, it takes practice. It's a never-ending, evolving journey, especially when you are choosing to evolve into the best version of yourself, but you can do it. It's just one day at a time, one moment at a time, one thought, one action at a time.
So what are some of the actionable steps? When you say action, so what are some of the actions that you can do in order to choose? Because a lot of times it's mindset, but people talk about mindset and it's almost like this thing that's very elusive, right? And
Right.
so what are some of the things that you do, tactical things that you do in order to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success?
A lot of it starts with self-awareness because we have that inner critic that likes to keep us small, and choosing to notice what's going on, what thoughts you're having, and choosing your inner cheerleader over your inner critic. And that, again, that comes back to the choices. So I feel it's kind of like the devil and the angel on one side, and you can choose to listen to one or both. And with your inner critic, sometimes you cannot completely silence it, but you can work on trying to quieten that inner critic and elevate your inner cheerleader's voice. And so it's really the self-awareness, because sometimes we have these thoughts that we're so used to that we're not even aware that it's kind of this noise in the background that's going on. And so a tangible tip with the self-awareness part, I think the easiest place for people to start is to notice when they are comparing themselves to someone else. Because when you start comparing yourself to someone else, you're slowly decreasing your confidence. You're feeling not good enough, not worthy, and it keeps you small. And the easiest way I feel to overcome that is, instead, in that moment, when you notice that you're comparing yourself to someone else, focus on your strengths instead of the person that you are comparing yourself to. Instead of focusing on their strengths and highlighting your weaknesses, focus on your strengths instead. Build yourself up. You have to be your own cheerleader, and it's great to have that support and encouragement from other people, but we have to rely on ourselves most of the time to really build up and boost our own confidence and our own belief in ourselves.
And I think part of the challenge is really understanding in that moment, okay, I have this thought. I need to, I need to turn that thought around to a very positive, self-awareness type of thing. And that in itself is a practice, right?
Right.
Having the thought and saying, okay, well, that's not me.
Right. Well, and then when you have these thoughts, it's going to keep you from taking action. Just, using my dance story as an example, I had these thoughts where I didn't believe in myself. I was doubting myself once I walked in the room, and it took me from taking courageous action. And that's where courage is a choice. And it's taking action despite your fears. It's not about being fearless, because if you don't have fear around something, then there's really not an opportunity to be courageous there, because that means you're in your comfort zone. So when you have that fear, allow it to fuel you. Run towards it instead of away from it. And the more that you take courageous action, the more it will help you build your confidence over time, so that you get bolder and braver with the things that you want to do and experience in your life.
I love it. I love it. See, this is the reason why we're friends, right?
Yes. Yes. I'm so happy we're connected.
So, who is a social media influencer leader that has impacted your life, and why were they so impactful?
The person who has really impacted my life the most and really helped set me up on the journey that I've been on is a spiritual leader. Her name is Rebecca Campbell. She is the author of Light is the New Black. It is about following what your soul is calling you to do, and really listening to your intuition. Because deep down, while we might seek answers from other people on what we should or shouldn't do, deep down our intuition knows, and it's telling us this is what feels aligned, or this is what feels right, this is what feels like you should be doing in the next step or the next phase. And so I went to her retreat in New York twice, and it was transformational. It was the first time that I meditated. I did a lot of journaling, a lot of self-reflection, and I realized after I left her retreat the first time that I wanted to come back to Dallas, Texas and host a workshop. It was a self-love workshop. And then when I went back the following year, I had received so much clarity in doing a lot of work and really in my self-discovery journey of what was next in my life and my career, what should I be doing, I got clarity that I wanted to be a speaker. And so when I left that retreat the second time, I took inspired, courageous action. And a few years later, we're having this conversation today. And so I always recommend that book to people who need a little clarity in their life, some guidance. And I will be doing a room with her on Clubhouse pretty soon. So I'm just so excited that I found her book. And so I hope that it finds the right person that needs to read it next.
I love it. So you're now connected with her?
Well, she reached out to me, her team, to do a video testimonial for her retreats because she had one in 2020 that got canceled, to promote that event. And then since I had her team's contact information, I thought, why not see if I can do a room with her in Clubhouse? If you don't ask, the answer's no. And they said yes.
Girl, you better do it.
Yes, yes.
I love it. I love it. And so many times we're just afraid, right? And like you said, just running towards that fear and just saying, okay, you're I swear I love you. What is I guess the book that you have read that has changed your life is that book by Miss Rebecca. So now we met on Clubhouse. What are your thoughts about Clubhouse and what are your thoughts about the future of that?
I love it. I love it, especially for someone in the speaking space like myself. I can just get on the app. I don't have to have content ready. I don't have to get up at 5 in the morning like I did today to be camera ready for this interview. I can just speak. I can share my stories. I can use my voice to empower people, to help people. And that's what I love about the app. It's not just for speakers, but anyone who wants to learn or anyone who really wants to serve. And especially in the time that we're living in after experiencing 2020, we want to be connected. And you can get instantly connected to people like you and I did, instead of having to build that relationship over time through Facebook posts and Instagram posts, where it can take maybe even years to like, know, and trust people. Whereas in one room, in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, you can really know whether you resonate with someone and potentially collaborate like you and I did. We did that room on elevating the brilliant minds of women and coming together to collaborate instead of compete, and then building the relationship off of Clubhouse like we have done on Instagram and like we're doing this morning. So I love it. It's a great way to get connected to people and be able to use your voice in a variety of different ways and share your perspectives and your opinions.
And one of the things that I really liked about the room that we were in is that we were collaborating and we were not competing. And I think that what happens a lot of times, people feel like that they have to compete against someone else in order to be the best one, right? The reality
Yes.
is that there's money all around us, and that there is plenty of people in the world that we can affect and that we can serve, and we just need to be each other's champions. And that was the value that I received in that room. And I've always kind of known that, but to see that in full action, I mean, I just thought that that was absolutely amazing.
It was
And
beautiful.
it was. And the fact that, my friend, which I couldn't see you at that time, but then once I went on Instagram and I saw you, and everybody follow her on Instagram. What's your handle?
The Self-Love Challenge.
The Self-Love Challenge. So follow her on Instagram. So on Instagram, I went there and I saw you and I saw that pink and I was like, I know we're friends. I know we're going to
Yes.
be friends forever.
Yes. Love pink.
So is there a message that you would like to give to all the nurses working hard on the front lines for encouragement?
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much because you are doing an amazing job and a hard job, and I'm very grateful. And my message for you is really just to know that you must make yourself and your happiness a priority, not an option. I know it's easier to put other people before you, and that's the industry that you're in, but you have to take time to prioritize yourself and your happiness. And so it means practicing self-care because it's not selfish. It is absolutely necessary. And if you're drained and you're burned out, and I know that you're working so many hours doing so many things for other people, but know that you have to give yourself time. And when you relax and when you do self-care, and maybe when you do nothing at all, that is not synonymous with being lazy. Like, you need that time to recharge. And self-care is really anything that makes you happy that isn't harmful. So do things that make you happy. Make yourself a priority and not an option.
I love it. I love it. So now where can find that I'm getting feedback. So where can someone find you if they want to book you to speak, or you tell them.
Yes. So the easiest way to book me for a speaking engagement or to kind of get the ball rolling on that would be to email me, which is the selflovechallenge@gmail.com. I also do coaching where I really help people with their confidence and gaining clarity in their life on maybe something that they need to do, or they maybe have a lot of ideas, or they have this goal or vision, but they are just overwhelmed on the action steps or where to start. I'm really good at just listening to someone talk and then pulling something out and getting these creative downloads. So would love to work with anyone who might be interested in that. And then have a free resource for anyone interested in really taking action to prioritize themselves more. You can go to www.selfloveshift.com. And I created that document as part of a presentation that I did last year, really helping people prioritize themselves during stressful times specifically. And it has some journaling prompts and just different things for self-reflection.
So once we get off here, we can drop the link in the comments so that they will know exactly where to go. They can just click and get there. Okay. But
Great.
don't forget to follow her on Clubhouse, follow her on Instagram, just follow. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So thank you, Brandy, for showing up at 6:30 because you're in Central Time. Am I correct?
Yes, I am. So I had my alarm set at 5 and woke up at 4:40 naturally, I think because I was worried about oversleeping. And so, I'm ready to start my day. I haven't been ready this early in quite some time.
I love it. So my name is Dr. Viola Pierce. I'm the owner and CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer and the facilitators of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to teach nurses to leverage the knowledge that they already know working from their computers around the world, making money and owning their own time. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals and to show up exceptional on a daily basis. Know that one of the goals of Morning Infusion with Dr. V is to expose you to leaders such as Brandy that have overcome so that you know that the possibilities are endless. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment if you were ever told that you would not succeed. And remember to click the calendar link above if you want to create another stream of income and enroll in our 12-week course, VP Nursing Business Academy. You guys have a phenomenal rest of your day.